scent of Vicks Vapor Rub. It's only one of the most iconic smells ever. That cooling, comforting scent generations of families have come to trust to help them feel better. And now you trust to soothe your family. Pick up some Vicks Vapor Rub in the little blue jar and wrap yourself with the calm only Vicks Vapor Rub can bring. Vicks Vapor Rub, always there for you.
You auto with Progressive, but when we just come out and say it, it feels like it falls a bit flat. So we're going to tap into human emotion. First with some music. Then in a serious tone I'll say, save big when you bundle your home and auto with Progressive. And even though it was about saving money with Progressive, we'll fade out the music so you know it was poignant.
Makes it delightfully sweet. Roasted nuts make it perfectly salty. Get two great tastes in one delicious bar. Enjoy a Nature Valley sweet and salty nut bar today.
Before considering invasive surgery or harmful steroids, check out Modesto Physical Medicine. Live this year to the fullest. Start by calling Modesto Physical Medicine right now, just blocks north of Memorial Hospital in Modesto. Call for your complimentary consultation today, 209-838-3434. That's 209-838-3434. Call 209-838-3434.
I was born and raised in the Central Valley, and about 4 years ago, I did something crazy. I quit my corporate job, sold my house, and cashed in my 401k to start my company, MCB Homes. I come from nothing, and I'm here to do good business with good people. If you have a house you need to sell quick, no matter the reason, I'd like to buy it. I pay cash and I close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition, any price range, and any location in Northern California. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy vacant houses, abandoned houses, condemned houses, and foreclosure houses. Call me at 209-400-9999. Just give your friendly neighborhood home buyer a call.
We'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you could save on both. Learn more at Progressive.com.
It's time to wake up from this amazing dream, even though you're jet skiing on Lemonade. How extreme! And oh, look at that. You just won the lottery. Is that a castle? Take the keys. It's your property. What's better than swimming in space? Just wait for the big reveal. It's Taco Bell breakfast and it's actually real. So it's time to wake up and bid your dreams farewell. Because toasted breakfast burritos are waiting for you. Only at Taco Bell. Participating Taco Bell locations near you during breakfast hours only.
And set to smooth jazz.
It's late. You're driving in the rain with only one thing on your mind. The deer about to total your HVAC van. But with Progressive's 30-plus customizable coverage options, you're covered. The rest is just saxophone.
When running your small business gets rough, Progressive Commercial is there to smooth it out. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com.
Twinkly sound.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Coverage and discounts not available for all vehicles or states.
Last year, it's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too. Because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
The right gear. That's why I went to Kohl's and got an Adidas hoodie for under $45, picked up some Nike sneakers, and got a new fleece from Tech Gear for just $12.99. Oh, I even got an extra 15% off and earned Kohl's cash. So I'll be going back for more. Shopping counts as cardio, right? Select styles, Adidas and Nike coupons do not apply. Ends January 17. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohl's.com for details.
Home. My community means everything to me. It helped shape me into who I am today, and is where I choose to raise my own family. That's why I joined the Army National Guard. I'm proud of where I'm from, and as a soldier, I get to give back to the people that helped me succeed. The education benefits I got from serving helped me get my degree and jumpstart my career. The training and leadership skills I've gained from the Army National Guard help me every day when I teach young people, help my neighbors, and look out for my community. I know that when my neighbors need us the most, my fellow soldiers and I will be ready. My family loves it here, and my part-time service means we get to stay here.
Serve part-time in the community you live in as a proud member of the Army National Guard. Talk to your local recruiter or visit nationalguard.com.
Olay body wash with collagen hydrates to renew skin surface cells, improving skin 3 times better versus the leading body wash to transform skin from dry and dull to firm and radiant, so I can step into my day feeling fearless in my skin. And now try new Olay body lotion, which hydrates for healthier looking skin that improves over time. Olay Body.
I know people that had PTSD from having COVID, but are better now. I can't imagine anyone having it their entire lives.
Imagine sheltering in place forever. Help Heal Veterans, with the support of citizens like you, helps these isolated or sick veterans at no charge to them.
How can I help?
Learn more at healvets.org.
Healvets.org?
Yes. This message is furnished by Help Heal Veterans.
To be there to dry tears, to be there to provide reassurances, and to be there for the moments that truly matter. This is your moment. Take it. To learn more, visit CaliforniaPaidFamilyLeave.com. Moments matter.
Bonus. Get the latest tech. Earn a $30 bonus. Get supplies for your classroom. Earn a $30 bonus. It's that easy. Set yourself up for success in the new year by exploring what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Limit 1 ends 1/22. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staplesconnect.com/store bonus for details.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with the Big C Sports. This is Charlton on Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide from the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports. All fans level war. I want to say today is a beautiful, it's a January the 17th, 2022. Pronto deportes, bonjour, de vidi vidi vici. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. I have a dream. Everybody has a dream. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. When you go by and test drive yours, just tell them Charlton of Big C Sports Center, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports now on 21 podcast applications. And in fact, I think there's going to be a 22nd one coming up by the end of the year. So I just want to say, hey, may as well give that some praise. Come on, give that some praise. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast all over the universe on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio Podcasts, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and then also Pod Chaser, where I got to catch my breath. Give her all some praise. Come on. I have a dream. $100 million dream. But give Big C Sports some praise. You can also follow Big C Sports all around the world on Geo Savan Podcast out of London, England. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on Podtail, on YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper Podcast, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line Podcast, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, and the 21st one is actually called Pod Bay. Give Big C Sports some podcast love. Podcast love. California love. How about podcast love? Come on, give us some podcast love. And there's another one that's coming for a Big C Sports podcast that should be joining before the end of January. Just having some conversation with them to carry a Big C Sports podcast on Verbal Podcast, VURBL Podcast. That's Verbal Podcast. And once that documentation is for sure agreed upon, then that'll be Big C Sports Podcast. You know, growing, not shrinking, and growing all over the world. In fact, growing all over the universe. Give that some praise. So I'm just going to say, I'm going to speak it into existence. Big C Sports Podcast on 22 podcast applications. That's 22. And that means it's growing by leaps and bounds to boldly go where no man's gone before our woman. All's fair and love and war. So I really do appreciate the growth of Big C Sports Podcast. Also streaming on 4 TV platforms. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast, Xfinity Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. Give that some praise. 22 podcast applications and 4 TV applications all over the universe. Really do appreciate that with Big C Sports Podcast. It's amazing because it just keeps growing and growing and growing like the Energizer Bunny. Really do appreciate that. I love paying homage to my family legacy on my mother's side. My great-grandmother called her Mamo just the greatest great-grandmother in the history of the universe. Also, just did everything to keep the family strong. And then my great-grandfather called him Pop. He was just a great person, also known for making the best moonshine in the history of the universe. And being known for saying, boys, get out of that barn before lightning strikes you. Boys, get out of that barn. Grandpa, why are all these potatoes floating around in these barrels? Anyway, former Negro League baseball player also too. And then my beautiful grandmother, Madea, really do appreciate all the love that she's generated over the years, keeping the family strong. And my grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful gentleman. And then my beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program in Northern California and helped win the Little League Championship of the universe. A Head Start program, give her some praise, and a food program to make sure that kids can eat and help win the Little League Championship of the universe. Give mama some praise, deserving that very much so. Head Start program, a food program, also help win the Little League Championship of the universe. On my always saying rise and shine. Also on my father's side, just want to say to my grandfather, Albert Curry, very intelligent man, a pastor, helped had 2 churches in Oakland, California, built the 3rd one in Central California, and then had 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Really do appreciate that. Just a very intelligent businessman. And then my grandmother, Alberta Curry, on my father's side, just another wonderful, beautiful person, helping my grandfather with the churches, also the service stations, and just making sure we could all rise and shine. And they were around at the time of course, Dr. King and all the speeches that he had. I have a dream, all the speeches and all the great things that happened for African Americans, just looking for liberty and justice for all. And then my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot and chief mechanic, making sure planes could fly high so we could all stay safe at night. Same, always develop your mind to its highest extent. And then I want to also say to my son, Malcolm, college student, intelligent, very smart, hardworking, industrious person, knows NBA stats inside and out, oftentimes helps me with NBA stats, really do appreciate that. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, college graduate, 2 degrees, 3.5 years from a major university. Very, very beautiful, the most beautiful daughter in the universe. Would help me set up when coaches would come to the West Coast to get signed up for Big C sports events. Really do appreciate that. And then Big C, with his wealth of knowledge in the past, I want to give everybody some praise. I said, give everybody praise, praise, praise. Come on, you can do louder than that. Really do appreciate that. There's a lot of good things that happen. I'm going to try to pay homage to my pastor in church. I heard over the weekend, pastor gave a story about an airplane that was in flight, and it had a couple of people on the plane. I think there were 4 people on the plane. And so the first person, they were having some issues, so they decided if we have to jump out of this plane, who's gonna get the parachutes? I mean, who's gonna get the parachutes to get out of that plane, right? So the first person said, hey, I'm a brain surgeon. God's got a call into my life. I got a lot of people I can save, so I got to take one of those 4 parachutes. And so he decided to jump out of the plane. He jumped out of the plane with the parachute. And then, well, at the end of the time, they had only 3 people left on the plane, but somehow they had 2 parachutes. They weren't sure if they had 2 or 3. And so the next guy was a brain surgeon. He was a neurosurgeon. And he said, look, guys, I know we only have 2 parachutes left, and there's 3 of us. And so I'm going to have to get out and jump out of this plane because I have a lot of life to save. So he took the parachute and jumped out of the plane. So there was 2 people left, and there was only 1 parachute. And it was a little teenage boy, 14-year-old boy, and there was the Pope. And so the Pope said to the teenage boy, well, I've lived a long life. I've blessed a lot of people. You have your whole life ahead of you. So the surgeon took off, and then also one of the other smart engineers took off with the other parachutes. You take this and I'll be fine. And the young teenage boy said to the Pope, Pope, that smart guy that took off, he actually took off on my backpack. So there's still 2 parachutes left. Give that some praise. It wasn't as funny as my pastor told it. Give that some praise. Really do appreciate that. The smartest guy in the world took off on a backpack. Anyway, the plane landed safely. Oh, man, life's funny. I do want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, really want to just say thank you to so many people. And I think a lot of times about my brother Todd with his bombastic voice, it's like lightning sometime when Thomas speaks. As I say, let's get ready to rumble! As I said, welcome to the show, ESPY-nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no three-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. All I do is the show with my higher self. I produce the shows, I direct the topics, I broadcast all the shows, and then I also do all the sound effects that are provided by the agency. We can all use more laughter in our lives. When you jump out of planes, make sure you're grabbing a parachute and not a backpack. Commercials are done by the agency in New York outside of whatever's filled in. And then the stats providing, the storytelling, and what I hear over the weekend. Deebo Samuel touchdown! San Francisco! What a call, great Greg Papa. Sometimes when you just got games going on, the 49ers and the Cowboys, maybe the best game over the weekend. Really do appreciate that. Everyone's blaming the Cowboys' offensive play calling. It was just the 49ers had a better game and a better team. And I even picked that they would win that game going into the game. Not that I'm always right, but I went undefeated over the weekend. I even said that I wanted New England to win, but something tells me I'm wrong. All's fair in love and war, and what a big win by Buffalo. But just it's all fair in love and war. Cincinnati got a win over the Raiders, so their season comes to a conclusion. And then you have the Eagles got their wings clipped by some Pirates. You know, what do you expect when you get a bunch of Eagles around a bunch of Pirates? They got to eat. So they took care of that business down in Tampa Bay, the defending Super Bowl champions. Some of my better verses, when I say I never miss a show, Big C Sports Podcast, I upload the platform, and now it goes out to 22 podcast applications. Started with Salem Media back on September 12, 2015. Only had one app, that was with Salem Media, which I believe was in 44 markets. Big C Sports goes all over the world. And now on 22 podcast applications, it's not shrinking, it's growing. All I'm doing is just praising God and doing my show the best the way I know how. And one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible is Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. It says, "For all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever." And the book of James, chapter 4, verse 2 said, "You have not because you ask not." So I say, give that some praise. If you want something, just ask. All you can do is ask. The answer is either yes or no. It's always no if you don't ask. That's why I love asking. You got to ask. I also want to say to our Veterans Crisis Hotline, they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. They have so much going on, PTSD. Every time we have a first responders respond, oftentimes these people are military trained. I mean, everybody has their own thoughts, but I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline on this beautiful Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. And rumor has it they will stand on their head to help sure that veterans get help. You can text 838-255, that's 838-255, or you can call 800-273-8255, that's 800-273-8255, or if you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net, that's veteranscrisisline.net, and give that some praise. Okay, give the Veterans Crisis Hotline some praise, give it praise. We all need somebody to lean on. Love leaning on the Veterans Crisis Hotline on a special Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. Really makes sense that everybody tries to just be more kind and more loving. The enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy, but God said, let's all be kind to each other. It doesn't matter for some people. They just want to be whatever they are. But I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones and say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will see it pop up all over the world. Really do appreciate that. It's just amazing. I really do appreciate all the affiliation with different business. ValleyHomesWeekly.com, a national real estate show you can find on ValleyHomesWeekly.com. Forecasting properties in Northern and Central California. Also, wherever you are in your neck of the woods, if you want to know what's going on in real estate, go to the nationalrealestatepost.com. That's the nationalrealestatepost.com, and you can find people who actually speak faster than I do. That's funny. They do a great job updating all the markets. Also, if you want to know what's going on in mortgages throughout the country in your neck of the woods, go to mortgagedailynews.com. That's mortgagedailynews.com and find out more about what's going on in the world of real estate. Also has some great things coming to you in real estate about property and how if you're able to understand this, reinvest in the community, buy distressed properties with no money down. guaranteed profit at $10,000, minimum credit qualification, 650 credit score, and $27,000 annual income. I'll talk more about that later on the real estate channel that I'm coming up with also with the Big C team for real estate. Also, for those of you who are looking for funding, working with over 250 lenders waiting to fund you between $10,000 and $400,000 in funding anywhere in the United States. Funds can be used for any purpose: business startups, real estate investments, repairs and renovations, working capital. Get the working capital you need, down payment assistance, investing in the stock market, debt consolidation, and student loans, even though I believe the Biden administration will have a sea change if they write off all the student loans retroactive back to 2000. That would help a lot of people. But for the lending, 250 lenders waiting to fund you, unsecured funding, minimum requirements, 650 credit score, $27,000 annual income, no new lines of credit in the last 6 months, and current on all of your bills in the last 2 years. It's all fair and love and war. If you want more information on that, pick up the phone call 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. And I say give that some praise. Give that some praise. All fair and love and war. Really do appreciate everything happening with Big C Sports. Make sure for you out there who are betting, you want to bet your last dime on a game. And some people are hurting because they bet everything they had on the game, hoping the team would cover the spread. Got a big game coming up tonight, already kicked off. The Arizona Cardinals at beautiful SoFi Center taking on the Los Angeles Rams. I'll talk about that game coming up also in the program. But just if you're going to bet, don't bet more than you can afford to lose. Everybody tells you, they get on the phone and they tell you, hey, I got the can't miss game. All you got to do is give me $500. I'll turn it into $5,000 in 48 hours. All of that garbage. If that's the case, why are they trying to share it with you? They just want your money too. But I can't tell people who do that not to do it. Just don't gamble more than you can afford to lose. I want to say this segment's also sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol and 100% owner's game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat that Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with what's all this exotic meats. There's a lot of exotic meats floating around the sports universe. Really appreciate that. A lot of people having a good time on a beautiful Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, and it means different things to different people. Everybody has their own thoughts about what the holiday means. I remember as a little boy growing up, there were thousands of people that watched the March on Washington and actually marched in the nation's capital because Dr. King was always trying to have equality for everyone, liberty and justice for all. And not everybody wanted that then, and not everybody wants it now. We're still having arguments in the Supreme Court to protect voting rights. When you think about that, I mean, it's amazing. People just want to watch sports and not realizing that their voting rights are being stripped away from them as they're saying, touchdown, home run, three-point play, all that gut, and nothing wrong with it. But for the NBA, on Martin Luther King, they think about it, MLK Day. When you think about it, they have 12 games that were on target for today, 4 nationally televised matchups. And this year, it actually marks the 36th year anniversary of the NBA celebrating the life and legacy of the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with a full slate of NBA matchups and some big-time games. And the history of the NBA honoring the civil rights leader dates back 54 years to his untimely passing when he was assassinated in 1968. And it was then that Oscar Robertson recruited 27 players to participate in the Pro Basketball All-Star benefit game at the Singer Bowl in Queens, New York. And it was to raise money for Dr. King's Southern Christian Leadership Conference. And all the things that Dr. King did to try to bring America closer, you still have people who hated him then and who even hate the act of unity in the African-American community. There are people who hate it. In fact, they will actively seek to destroy it. In 2022, there are still people who are sinister. There are still people who have a rapacious mentality when it comes to black unity, where they would try to destroy black families. And they do it in their own mob, things they would never do to their own people. But that's still out there in 2022. My pastor talked about that over the weekend, whether it's criminal justice system or just a group of knuckleheads who are always trying to dampen the light on black Americans. Oftentimes, if you stand up and ask for equality, then people want to shout you down. Look at Colin Kaepernick. And he's just a sports figure, but an example of what happened when he tried to tell white Americans, stop killing black people. There are still people who would try to destroy their families of black Americans, but they'll cheer you when you're playing a football game. Touchdown, home run, three-point play. They will buy tickets and go to sporting events, but there's still so much enmity for people of color, especially men, since 1619. And so even when people say they love Dr. King, and we have a holiday for Dr. King that was passed by the Reagan administration, we have a holiday for Dr. King, but there's still people who, they hate black Americans. Unless you're just a dumb jock. Touchdown, home run, three-point play, touchdown, home run, touchdown. I can't believe he threw such a great pass. I can't believe he got sacked on that play. I can't believe he didn't go down soon enough. There's still a lot of people who hate on black Americans and their families, and they say Black Lives Matter, and they love Dr. King, and that garbage still goes on to this day. So the NBA, they continued a tradition of playing basketball on this date with a special focus on Atlanta and Memphis, and then the cities where Dr. King was born and also assassinated. The NBA remains dedicated to furthering Dr. King's fight for equality and justice with the league, and also activists throughout the country, people who are trying to just do the right thing. And I know everybody has their own thoughts about it. How do you go from the wrong thing to the right thing? You can't legislate someone's heart. There's just a lot of people who try to tear down black families, even to this day. They would never do it to their own, but they will gladly get together and their little mobs, the same way Dr. King spoke against, and they will do whatever they can to destroy black families. And I've seen it with my own two eyes. So we have the NBA schedule. Charlotte Hornets, I'm not getting into the games and the scores, but Charlotte Hornets at the New York Knicks at Madison Square Garden. That game already had tipped off at 1 o'clock Eastern time. It was on NBA TV. I'm not going to get into who won the game, but it's out there. The Chicago Bulls played at the Memphis Grizzlies that are really coming on strong over the last 12 games they've had. And I think 11-1 in the last 12 games. That game already tipped off at 3:30 Eastern time on TNT, another big game on a nationally televised circuit. And then Milwaukee Bucks, the defending NBA champion Milwaukee Bucks, at the Atlanta Hawks, Dr. King City. That game tipped off at 3 o'clock Pacific, 6 o'clock East Coast time and 3 o'clock Pacific time on TNT. So that was a nationally televised game. The Los Angeles Lakers at home later tonight, taking on the Utah Jazz in Los Angeles. That's a 10:30 p.m. East Coast time tip-off on NBA TV. Of course, 7 o'clock tip-off on the West Coast. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to have their own celebrations as the NBA honors Dr. King and what it means for so many people. But I just want to say, give it all some praise on Dr. King holiday. The NBA is trying to do their part to celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C tap out, and former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we're back on the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 22 podcast applications all over the universe and 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. Going to get into some NFL football that happened over the weekend. Just some great games. I mean, they expanded the league this year, the games from week 16 to 17. And we had games on Saturday and Sunday as well tonight on Monday in Los Angeles. The Las Vegas Raiders at the Cincinnati Bengals. And the Bengals with a 26-19 win over the Raiders. And the Bengals ended their long playoff drought with the 26-19 win over the Raiders over the weekend. I was saying that on Friday's Big C's previews, I've been saying if the Raiders had a chance to kick a field goal and win this game, they could probably do it. And I think it's prophetic when I said that. I said if they needed a touchdown to win it, they would probably not win. They were in playoff format going down the last couple of weeks when they went on the road and beat Cleveland, went on the road and beat Indianapolis, and again beat the Chargers in Las Vegas in that final regular season game, but just didn't have enough in the tank to beat Cincinnati. But when I think about it, the Raiders had a pretty decent year. Their first time making the playoffs in 6 seasons, so really looking forward to what they're going to do next year. They already let go of Mike Mayock today, their GM. That was John Gruden's hire. And so they let go of Mike Mayock. I believe he did some work up in Canada about 40 years ago, but now he brought into the Raiders organization by John Gruden, now let go by, I guess, Davis. He's the owner of the team. So we'll see what they're going to do, whether they're going to keep the head coach now to help them get through. A lot of players are already showing a lot of help, a lot of hope and support. So we'll see what happens. The New England Patriots, in a game, I was hoping that the Patriots would win because just Bill Belichick and his coaching style. But I was saying I think I'm going to be wrong that Buffalo would beat them. I didn't know they'd beat them 47-17. But New England was on a nosedive. So this is kind of a false narrative about how good Buffalo is. New England had just lost to Buffalo at New England. And then they went to Miami and lost that game also. And so coming back to Buffalo, losing again, they lost 3 in a row to end the season. So that's kind of a nosedive at the end of the season for the Patriots. Does it take the shine off of Bill Belichick? Maybe a little bit. Not a lot, but maybe a little bit. It has to take some. But the Bills dominated 47-7 to open their playoff run. Touchdown, Josh Allen looked really good. But if he's the best player on the team, I don't know if that's enough to overcome Kansas City. Even though the bettors, the odds makers in Las Vegas, I think Philadelphia, when you think about Buffalo, I think they're just a 2-point underdog at Kansas City. That might be a little bit of fool's goal. We'll see what happens. And then when I look at another game, Big Ben Roethlisberger, his last game, Kansas City, Missouri, was where he played his last NFL football game. I think it was Kansas City 42, Steelers 21. Steelers jumped out to a lead, 7-0 lead. After that, it was all Kansas City as they steamrolled Pittsburgh. The Chiefs advanced with a dominant 42-21 win over the Steelers. And even seemed like to me, just with my own 2 eyes, that the Chiefs were trying to let Big Ben finish a little bit stronger as they were not really blanketing coverage on the receivers on that last drive that Big Ben had. But just to see a player and Big Ben that's been at the helm for 18 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to see how he got obviously great send-offs by players on both sides. Just a lot of good feelings from football players that like to see guys that stood the test of time, all fair and love and war. I want to tell you about the defending Super Bowl champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers 31-15 over the Philadelphia Eagles. And they began their title defense with the Eagles clipping their wings. And when I look at what the Eagles did, they played football in the final quarter the way they should have played the whole game. They were down 31-0. And I was just saying in my own honest belief, there's no way the NFL would have allowed the Eagles to beat the Buccaneers because that's Tom Brady, and he's the money bag right now for the NFL. So whatever you say about that, I believe that with all my thinking, as well as what people tell me out of Vegas too. But they did what they thought they would do. They won the game, and it was a convincing game, 31-15, but the Eagles didn't really play until the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened.Maybe just part of how things go. I want to take it, and I want to come back more and talk about a game that a lot of people predicted, and I predicted it too. The San Francisco 49ers beating the Dallas Cowboys was not an upset. It was 23-17. At one juncture, it was 23-7 in the fourth quarter. And then Jimmy Garoppolo forgot what team he was on. And I fought Mike Shanahan for it. You got a 23-7 lead. Why are you even passing the ball? We've seen New England go into Buffalo and run the ball, only have 3 passes. The 49ers, for some reason, Jimmy G, when he went out through this interception in the fourth quarter, about 7 minutes left, it allowed the Cowboys to get right back in the game. They rolled off 10 unanswered points because Shanahan refused to just run the football, which is it's going to be problematic if he has that same thing that cost the Falcons to lose to New England in the Super Bowl several years ago. It's the same thing. Like, what do you have? What's wrong with just running the ball when you have the most dominant run game in the league? Deebo Samuel, as a receiver, had more rushing yards than any receiver in the NFL since 1966 as a receiver, rushing yards. And yet he still had Jimmy G dropping back to pass the ball on downs where you just run the ball and you milk the clock. You know Jimmy G's going to throw a rough pass every now and then. Could have had 2 interceptions in that game. Dallas just couldn't hold on to them. But he threw one. And it could have cost San Francisco because of poor coaching. If that poor coaching shows up in Green Bay, they're going to lose. If they realize they're 19-0 when they run the football between 35 and 40 times a game, undefeated. They did that again this week, but they tried to give it away. The 49ers should have over 40 rushes against the Cowboys. There was over 100,000 fans in that stadium. The crowd was amazing. Absolutely like Dallas. How about them Cowboys? How about the 49er Bang Bang Niner game? You even had Nick Bosa get knocked out with a concussion. He'll be back to play on Saturday against Green Bay. I mean, he went down, got hit in the side of the head of the helmet. And then Fred Warner twisted an ankle. He'll be back. And that's also what helped Dallas get back in the game. But Dak Prescott, in my opinion, played a good game. He was sacked 5 times. Should have been sacked 10 times. Because the Dallas offensive linemen were just beaten up. They couldn't handle the 40 pass rush. People want to make it about Dak. Whoa, Dak should have landed at the 30-yard line. Oh, Dak didn't have the best game. How can you throw the pass accurate when you're landing your butt or you're running for your life? I'm surprised that Dak didn't get sacked 10 times. Because the 49er offense, they don't even blitz to get at a quarterback. They run with the 4-down linemen. And so people want to look at Dak or they want to look at McCarthy. Yeah, the game wasn't well managed by the Cowboys, but it wasn't well managed by the 49ers. Because Shanahan, for some reason, doesn't like to go with the obvious. 19-0 when you have 35 to 40 runs. And they were over the 35 run in this game. But it should not have been as close as it was. The 49ers had put the game away when Deebo Samuel picked up a first down on an 11-yard sweep, a counter sweep. And for some reason, they gave them the first down, and they went to New York. They said, no, make it an inch short. So they made it an inch short. And then they come back, and the 49ers went for it on 4th and 1 inch. And Jimmy G didn't let his tackle set. You got to set for a second. He's a Super Bowl quarterback that knows that. And then he went on, he hiked the ball before the lineman set. They got about a yard on the play on the first down, but it was a penalty against the 49ers. Backed them up 5 yards, so they had to punt the ball. So this is not about Dak Prescott not taking a knee at the 30-yard line, or he said it's running down to the 25. It really is about the offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, that people are saying is the next head coach someplace. Why? When you got the ball at midfield with about 14 seconds left and no timeouts, why are you trying to have your quarterback do a quarterback sneak with no timeouts? That was bad play calling. You got a chance to throw deep to the end zone twice. If you get a pass interference, that's a first down, automatic first down. That's just my opinion. And people want to blame Dak Prescott. No, look at the offensive coordinator that called that play. That's what you look at. Because that makes no sense. Makes no sense at all. But I'm looking at the Niners. I think if they run 35 to 40 times and just watch the tape. I mean, the Lions blasted Green Bay. The first game in San Francisco, I was there, Levi Stadium. And Green Bay came back to win that game. It was 30-28 with a 50-yard field goal by Crosby. The Niners had scored with a Trey Lance run. It was an option. And I think there was 37 seconds left on the clock. So the Niners kicked off the ball, went to the end zone, and got 2 pass plays, and they had a pass interference penalty. Officials to Devontae Adams. And that gave Green Bay a chance to spike the ball with 3 seconds left and kick the winning field goal with 3 seconds left on the clock. Time expired as the ball went through. I was there. And that knocked the 49ers off their axles for about 3 weeks because they went on a nosedive at that point. That's not going to happen this time. The 49ers, they come from 17 points down. They were down 17-0 before Trey Lance ran the ball to the end zone on a 4th down play in San Francisco, Santa Clara. They're not going to be down 17 points in this game. They understand how to beat Green Bay. You've dominated Green Bay the last couple of playoff appearances by running the football. You run the ball, you pound them, you pound them, you pound them. What do you not like about that, Shanahan? Jimmy G doesn't need to throw the ball more than 15 times. And never does he have to throw the ball over 20 yards. It floats on him. Run the ball, you win the game. Look at what Cleveland did. Cleveland rushed for over 200 yards on Green Bay's defense. And then Baker Mayfield, after Chubb got a 1 carry for 12 yards on a first down, they came out and threw the ball first, incomplete. Second down, incomplete. Third down, interception. Green Bay held on the win. That was a joke of coaching. But San Francisco's not Cleveland. And they have the formula to win. Double team Devontae Adams. Make everybody else try to beat you. Stop the run game. You did that last time. Don't fall down 17-0 because of turnovers. And they came back the same way they came back against the Rams. But the 50-yard field goal with no time left. But look at what got Green Bay the chance to kick the 50-yard field goal. There's a pass interference penalty called against the Niners on Devontae Adams. That really, was it really a pass interference? Who knows? But that's what was called. So in this game coming up, there's so much to say about this game in Green Bay. It's going to be on Saturday. They're expecting the temperature to be around 20 degrees. That's nothing. They can handle that too. Touchdown Aaron Rodgers. He's told everybody in interviews, if he has one-on-one coverage with Devontae Adams, he's going to throw it to Devontae Adams, who had over 100 yards catching and 12 catches the first time in San Francisco. That's a clue. Just double team him. Just have a man spy on him. And bump him off the line of scrimmage. That destroys their timing route. The Niners can get to Aaron Rodgers with 4 men. Bosa will be back. And you got to know Armstead's going to have a good game. Warner's going to be back also. So for Green Bay, if they're going to win this game, the 49ers have to try to pass the ball more than they run it. And if Shanahan does that, maybe look for a new coach in San Francisco. If you don't have 40 runs in this game in Nicole, not the right man for the job. When you went to the Super Bowl, did the same thing to the Vikings and the Packers. You ran the football. Jimmy G had 18 passes in 2 games, and they went to the Super Bowl. That's a clue. They're better now offensively than they were then. But will they figure that out? Because Las Vegas has the Packers at 5.5. They also had the Cowboys at 3.5. Were they right or were they wrong? They were wrong. Big C Sports had the 49ers winning that game down in Dallas. Touchdown! San Francisco! Greg Papa was doing his thing. But what a game it was down in Dallas. I love football. Football is absolutely amazing. And now we just have so much to be grateful for. Tonight's game, this is Show Me the Money. Show me the money! Remember the Jerry Maguire movie with Lee Steinberg and Tom Cruise? Show me the money! Cuba Gooding Jr., Renee Wilder, they were in that movie. It's about Show Me the Money in LA now. It's a big game already underway. Arizona trying to start a new chapter of Monday Night Football when they face the Rams tonight at SoFi Stadium. It's the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. The Cardinals are 11-6. Look like one of the NFL's best teams. They started 7-0. This team started 7-0, but they came to the conclusion of the season, regular season. They lost 4 of the last 5 games. They can turn it around in a hurry with a win tonight. The Rams are 12-5. They won 5 of their last 6 games, but the team split their meetings in the regular season on the road, team winning both times. Already kicked off. Kicked off at 5:15 p.m. on the West Coast, 8:15 East Coast time at SoFi Stadium. The packed house in Southern California. The Rams are favored by 3 points. And the Cardinals, they've covered the spread, though. I think they've been 8-1 on the road this year. Isn't that something? They're a good road team. Something that concerns me if you're a bettor. The Rams are favored by 3. The over-under is 49 points. But the Cardinals are 13-3-2 against the spread as road underdogs since 2019. They are a very good road team. They went into San Francisco and won on the road. They went into Dallas and won on the road, 2 playoff teams. But the same Cardinal team lost at Detroit. This same Cardinal team lost at home to Seattle. They're in a nosedive. The Rams win tonight. But the Rams, for you bettors, the Rams are 11-9-1 against the spread as home favorites the past 3 seasons. But this is not the same Arizona team because they don't have DeAndre Hopkins. The Rams are going to win this by a touchdown. You think about why. Los Angeles is 8-1-1 against the spread against Arizona since Coach Sean McVay's first season in 2017. Quarterback Matthew Stafford, wide receiver Cooper Kupp put up some big numbers, with Stafford second in the league in touchdown passes, 41. He'll probably have 3 touchdowns passes tonight. And third in passing yards at 4,886 yards. He'll go over 5,000 yards tonight. Cooper Kupp caught 16 of those touchdowns and led the NFL in receiving yards, 1,947 yards. He had 118 last week in the loss to the 49ers. But the 49ers can beat you because they run the ball so well. They have the best blocking linemen. And then bringing in Kittle. And then Ayuk and Deebo Samuel and Elijah Mitchell and Hushek. You can't stop the Niners running game. That's why the Niners will run their way to Super Bowl 56 if they run the ball at least 40 times in the rest of their games coming up. And I believe the remainder of their games will be against Green Bay and also Tampa Bay before they go to the Super Bowl, unless they start screwing around, throwing the ball more than 20 yards downfield and trying to make that their mantra. But I think tonight's game in Los Angeles, it's just, to me, Aaron Darnold, 12.5 sacks, Leonard Floyd, 9.5 sacks, Von Miller, 5 sacks, are among the rushers who have Kyler Murray scrambling all night, and quarterback Jason Ramley, he has 4 interceptions. He'll probably get another one tonight. You gotta know that Murray's gonna run away from pass blocking and run into some interceptions. That's what he's done all year. It cost him. He's not going to sit back in the pocket and wait for his receivers to get open. He's going to scramble, but there's no DeAndre Hopkins in this game. So when people look at this point spread and think about week 4, the Cardinals used a season-high 216 yards rushing in that game, with Chase Edmonds going for 120. And James Conner, both active for tonight, had rib injuries. Connor's been a scoring machine, 15 rushing touchdowns, and Edmonds averaged more than 5 yards per carry. They teamed up for 80 receptions, and the Rams are really kind of a vulnerable team against the pass at times, ranking 22nd in the NFL. But quarterback Kyler Murray, he can beat the team that he's on to by just throwing interceptions. But when you think about this numbers, he's 8-1 against the spread on the road this season. And Murray was being touted as the MVP candidate early in the season. That's when he had Hopkins, threw for 3,787 yards, rushed for 423 yards and 14 touchdowns. Actually in 14 games. And accounted for 29 touchdowns, 651 passing yards in 2 meetings with 383 in a Week 14 loss. But I don't think the league will allow Matthew Stafford to lose to Kyler Murray. And there's just so many reasons for that. I was right about the thing with Dak Prescott. They're not going to let him beat Garoppolo. People might laugh at this. They were waving all the white towels down in Texas. 100,000 people. Juneteenth, they were waving the white towel to end slavery. 100,000 people show up in Texas also to wave the white towel. They had the quarterback that's had the best passing touchdown record for the Cowboys in the history of their game, sacked 5 times, should have been 10 times. Dallas had 14 penalties. That's the second time they did that this year. Both against West Coast teams. They had 16 penalties against the Las Vegas Raiders and lost that game. No, they had 14 against the Raiders and now 14 against the 49ers. They had also jumped off sides and one possession, and they didn't call that an offsides. So they are not a very well-disciplined team, but they're still a good team. They won the NFC East. They're a good team. Home field advantage, at least in the first round. But the Niners can punish people with their run game. Everyone knows that except for Coach Shanahan and Jimmy Garoppolo. The year the Niners went to the Super Bowl, you can Google it, he had 18 passes in 2 games against the Vikings and against the Green Bay Packers. That's the formula. Will they stick to it? This will be the year that Aaron Rodgers gets back to a Super Bowl. Tampa's banged up. They played a Philly team that kind of gave up. And I mean, the best team right now in football, I would say, is San Francisco. That game was not as close as the score. It just wasn't. Some people like Buffalo. Buffalo played a New England team that lost 3 in a row to close the year. They're a good team. I still say Kansas City's the king in the AFC until someone knocks them off. But you got to win the game on the field. That's where it counts. Doesn't matter what anybody says. And when you do what works, and the running game works for the 49ers, you don't have to throw the ball 25, 30 times a game to win. Just 10, 15 passes. No one stopped their run. Dallas could not tackle the 49ers run games. Elijah Mitchell did his thing. Deebo Samuel did his thing. It's amazing how sometimes you just try to hope that people can remember what made them strong getting in there. That's just my thoughts about it. I love football. So there won't be much better matchup this entire season than the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs. The other 3 divisional round matchups are pretty good, too. I like San Francisco at Green Bay unless they don't top running the ball. If the 49ers run the ball 40 times, they win. If they don't, they probably lose to Green Bay. Not going to find out unless the Buccaneers are hosting Arizona or the Rams until after tonight's game. That's already underway at SoFi Stadium in Southern California. But either team is going to be fun to watch against the Bucs. Without Kyler Murray, Arizona's not going. It's going to be the Rams. They're going to build it about Tom Brady and Matthew Stafford, marquee quarterbacks. And the Rams smoked Tampa the first time out in Los Angeles. I think it was 34-24 at SoFi Stadium. It's a time for the revenge game coming up. But you think about the other matchups set, what we saw after the wild card weekend, a showdown of red-hot teams, the Bills and the Chiefs. Some people want to make that the highlight, and it might be. But I'm going to look at Cincinnati at Tennessee. The Titans are a 3.5-point favorite. They got to rest as the number 1 seed, and they seem likely to get star running back touchdown Derrick Henry back from a foot injury. He hasn't played since October 31st. And then the Bengals, they got past the Las Vegas Raiders. When you think about that, they got stopped inside the red zone with the game on the line. They got a big stop. The referees blew the whistle when the ball was still in play, and that cost that officiating crew to not be able to work any more playoff games this year. But people make mistakes. But the Bengals on a nice late season run, quarterback touchdown Joe Burrow, playing good football. If he finds Chase, they'll stay close to Tennessee. But if Tennessee just runs the ball the way they can, they should win this game. He's going to have a tough test against Tennessee's defense. It's going to be a great kickoff for a divisional round. And then you have the Buffalo Bills at Kansas City Chiefs. Both teams, excellent weekends. The Bills didn't punt. They tried a field goal to turn it over against the Patriots. The first time in NFL history that's happened. They just scored touchdowns on every possession before killing the clock at the end of the game. And the Chiefs, a quiet start. Steelers got a hit first. Big Ben, maybe his last game, got 5 touchdown passes from touchdown Patrick Mahomes. And 1 from touchdown receiving leader, Travis Kelce, in a 42-21 win over the Steelers. The Bills won a game at Arrowhead Stadium earlier this season. That was a different Kansas City team. That was long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. The rematch was last season's AFC Championship game. Feels like the AFC title game this season as well. And they might be the 2 best teams in the AFC, but I'm still going with touchdown Patrick Mahomes. When that line is healthy, I like what he does for Kansas City. Now, the game that I'm going to call, it's just my opinion, for the game of the week, because it feels like to me, it just feels like it. Like the Big C burger, it's a tasty burger, and it comes with, what's all this exotic meat? Also, the team that wins this game might get the Big C coffee. It's a Big C coffee. It comes in 1 size extra large, and it comes with, what's all this exotic beans? The Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers looking for the Big C cup of coffee. The temperature's going to be around 20-something degrees, but it should be okay. They heat the field anyway. So the 49ers, bang, bang, nine again. There's gold in them their hills. They discovered gold in Dallas. In the AT&T Stadium, the 49ers went and took all the gold out of that stadium, 100,000 fans. And now there's gold in them their flatlands in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Now, Green Bay is favored by 5.5. Remember, they were up 17-0 over the 49ers. I believe it was September 26th in San Francisco, Santa Clara. The Niners came storming back and took the lead with 37 seconds left, or 37 seconds left. And Aaron Rodgers, with the help of the officiating crew, that threw a personal foul on the 49ers defenders for hitting Devontae Adams as he laid there on the side, on his back of the stadium, and they called it targeting. Whatever it was that gave Green Bay a chance to get the ball in better field position, they kicked the field goal with 3 seconds left and win. So the forecast at Green Bay Saturday, going to be a highs of 22, lows of about 11. 35% chance of snow. It's not going to snow. And when you think about it, it's good for the Niners because they run the ball better than anybody in the league. Even touchdown Aaron Rodgers, when he has to throw in the cold, he's not going to be as accurate. But San Francisco's built like a cold weather team. They're going to want to run it at least 40 times and then play good defense, and they're capable. You got to double cover Devontae Adams and take your chances. Don't let Jimmy G mess up and throw foolish interceptions. If you're going to be sacked, throw the ball out of bounds or take the sack. Don't just flop the ball in the air. The Niners have a pass rush to make things challenges for touchdown Aaron Rodgers. They did it last time. The 49ers have to worry about Jimmy Garoppolo playing mistake-free game. No turnovers. They played very well in an upset win at Dallas. It was not an upset except for the people that were upset stomach and Jerry Jones said, that's the worst I ever felt after a loss. But think about this. The 49ers have won 8 of 10 games down the stretch. 8 of 10. And I'm thinking about something's going on in Las Vegas with this game because they're trying to creep the point spread up from 5.5 to maybe 6. Doesn't make any sense. So the Las Vegas is picking Jimmy G to throw 2 interceptions. I don't think so. He might throw 1, but they can live with that. Aaron Rodgers has only thrown 4 interceptions on the whole year. The key to not having Jimmy G throw interceptions is run the ball. They've done it, and they've won the NFC Championship that way, and they went to the Super Bowl. That's the key for them. And I think Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle only had 1 catch. He'll have more than that against Green Bay. And he's a problem. But you get him passes 10, 15-yard pass routes, maybe even 5. When the 49ers needed a first down, they gave it on a sweep to Brandon Ayuk, to Deebo Samuel. He went 11 yards on the first down. And they said he was an inch short of the first down. Jimmy G, don't let Green Bay back into the game. I think that's the formula. Anyone can see that. You can just see it. It's just my opinion. But I love what the NFL did this year. I want to give it some praise. NFL football is fantastic. Give it praise, praise, praise. Give it some praise, praise, praise. Love NFL football. It's just amazing. So everybody's going to have just a lot of thoughts about NFL football, where we stand. On a Martin Luther King holiday, the NFL has 1 African-American coach. 1 out of 32. That's Mike Tomlin. 1 out of 32. I have a dream. Don't judge people by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. So whose character and who's doing the judging? There's so many things that I love about sports. And I just hope that sports can bring more people together. Because I have a dream too. We all do. People are good or evil in this world, it seems. And you got to choose which one you want to be. Some people will do whatever it can to destroy their own families, while others will build them up. Some people will do whatever they can to destroy their own families, but they'll shout, I have a dream. I just hope that we can do whatever we can in this country to keep people together. In my opinion, nobody's perfect. Everybody has their own hopes for a better tomorrow for everyone. I know I do. I think about what Dr. King has meant to so many people. And everybody has their own thoughts about how we make this world a better place for everybody. We all got to be part of that solution. All of us do. I don't know how we can figure it out individually, as I've heard oftentimes, it takes a village to raise a child. Does it really take a village to raise a child? I don't know. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But for everybody that wants to have peace and liberty and justice for all, Dr. King gave his life for a lot of people who are still at odds, willing to hurt people that they love, even stopping everybody from voting. And I know it's a sports show, but that's part of our problem. Everybody's focused on who's going to win the game. Who won the game? Hey, did you know? You see who won the game, man? Touchdown, home run, 3-point play. I just hope that we can all just overcome. We should all overcome someday. Life is supposed to be a gift. And look in the mirror. God sees what every one of us is doing. And we reap what we sow. If you are out there trying to harm other people, may you also suffer the same fate. If you're trying to help others, maybe you'll suffer that fate or experience that fate too. I just want to say, back in the day, happy Martin Luther King Day. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you rumble, young man, rumble. With all you've got to use, how can you lose? All of us say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Because I float like a butterfly, I sting like a bee. Because all these Big C burgers make me light on my feet, and the Big C coffee too. Only comes on one side, extra large. My beautiful mother always says there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone and ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child will go to that garbage on their own. As we always tell you, on every Big C sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day. I have a dream.